I've had to go closer to see if it's inflatable.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, and like in particular with the paddleboards, that's
Yeah.
really quite different now to what it used to be, and the shapes and the templates and the designs.
You
And
still do much solid paddleboarding, or is it all inflatable now?
so most of my paddleboarding is inflatable now.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. There's quite a different feeling underfoot with a solid paddleboard, and some of the shapes and the sort of the construction of it can be quite different.
Was
and a bit lighter.
it a thing for you to? Was it difficult for you to transition, or did you have an issue with it, and now you're okay with it, or?
I think the sort of premium level kit and equipment is what I always tend to gravitate to.
Of course,
and that's usually like the composite and sort of the solid boards really. But the inflatable technology is really, really good and very, very bump proof. So if people, accidentally crash it into the side,
they're a bit more robust, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Which really does make a massive difference as well. Like there's always people always get worried about the risk of inflatables popping or or maybe
just general punctures and stuff.
punctures. And I'd say unless you're buying a super cheap board, there's typically not as much risk of that as people might think. But the technology for those has come on leaps
I suppose
and bounds.
the issue for the technology for inflatables is trying to make them more like solids. If you know what I mean? Because initially the inflatables were massive. They were really thick, and they've gradually got thinner and thinner and thinner and more robust, which is the aim, I suppose.
Yeah, and in particular for a paddleboard, like the stiffness of it is something that you're really looking for. And as the board gets longer, maybe for like touring for longer distance, then the board can flex quite a lot. And that again is something that's changed quite a bit with evolutions in design. And there's all sorts of different companies do different things, but fancy things like battens down the side of it and down the middle and all of that as well.
I'll do both. Like I've done both, but I still prefer solid. But as time goes on, solids are getting phased out anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, it feels like for a lot of centres as well that solid boards aren't as popular and aren't as robust in the end.
It's for the mainstream as well. It makes sense because it's all about convenience. Like you can deflate your inflatable paddleboard and put it in your cupboard. Yeah. Where are you going to store a 12-foot paddleboard and how are you going to transport it?
Absolutely.
So convenience wins every time.
I really realised how good SUPs were, inflatable SUPs, when I did a one-way trip on Windermere, and so I got on at Fellfoot, went all the way to Ambleside, and then I rolled the board up and got the bus back.
Yeah. And imagine doing that on a solid.
Well, exactly. And I realised...
Excuse me, bang. Oh, sorry.
And I just thought, this is such a great thing. Like, this is, what a great idea. And it had never occurred to me until I was literally about to do that trip that I could just simply roll it up and get the bus back. And that makes it much more environmentally friendly to a point as well. I know I still had to drive there, but it does mean that it's better than taking two vehicles, which you might typically do for that trip. And it is super convenient as well.
Which is why that's part of the reason why it's hit the mainstream, is because of that convenience.
Yeah.
If there were no inflatables and it was all solids, there's no way many people would be doing that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think sometimes can hold people back from paddling, is that you do have to store stuff somewhere. So if you've got a 17-foot sea kayak and no garage, how does that work? So if you've got an inflatable SUP or inflatable kayak or canoe, then just being able to roll it down into something that's the size of a suitcase is brilliant. And they're easy to get on planes as well.
Yes.
So the kayak, hard to get on a plane.
And get an electric pump.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
That's a good tip, actually.
You see people like, I'll be with you, mate. I'm knackered now. I can't be bothered to go.
Yeah. So I used to say, I don't mind doing the pumping. I'll do that, and that's all right. It's a good warm up. And then every now and then
it's
I'm
a bit
like,
more than a warm up, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Every now and then I'm like, can I borrow that pump? Actually, can I borrow your extra pump?
You know, they're going from solids to inflatables reminds me of going from CDs to MP3s.
Right. Okay.
Because people would no, I'm staying with the CDs. I love my CDs. But it's like, yeah, but you could get like all of your albums on this little device here. You're like, oh yeah, that does make sense actually. You can listen to whatever you want at any time.
Absolutely. I remember when I got my first iPod. There's another Apple link.
There you go.
But I remember when
Mr. Apple.
When I got my first iPod. In fact, my only ever iPod, when I say that, I was literally looking at thinking, this is something from the future. It was like...
Do you remember mini discs just before that?
I was big into mini discs, actually, yeah. Mini disc was the way...
It was the disc. That was the problem. It still was disc. It wasn't fully digital.
Yeah, I was well into it. I had a mini disc player in my car. I felt like the absolute boss having a mini disc player in my car.
Because you're similar age to me, so you remember like Walkmans,
Oh yeah,
tapes.
yeah. Those
before that.
yellow Walkman. For
You
sure.
won't remember that, will you?
I know what a Walkman is.
You know what they are, but you didn't have one, did you?
I
You
think,
old
I, think,
enough
I
to
think I
have it?
did. Yeah,
Okay.
not like go to the shop and buy one for myself kind of thing. They
Okay.
were just something that I found in the house lying around. What's
that
this?
no one used anymore.
What's this with dust on it?
But when we were kids, it was it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Remember,
yeah.
like having to turn the cassette over and to fast forward it to rewind the other side.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
The sound quality was awful, but we didn't know any better.
I remember I bought my mum, I think it was the best of Luther Vandross on tape.
Classic.
And I thought I might like this, so I opened it and I recorded it and listened to it before giving it for a birthday.
That's brilliant.